Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I am Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture. This is a program where we celebrate the United States of America and the United Kingdom coming together, and this show really just shares all of our beliefs of how we want to come together for world peace and to celebrate humanity. Joining me is the star of our show, DIANN BOEHM, who is settled down somewhere in the United States, and she is with us today to tell us all that's going on in her world. Welcome, DIANN.
Hi, Dr. JACALYN from Virginia.
Woo, the great state of Virginia. I've got a lot of family there.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait till we meet up in person one day.
I feel the same. Let's bring out our expert correspondents who bring us news and culture and the latest happenings. It's HELENA CHARD. Hello.
Hi girls. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you as well. And we love the sunflowers there matching your beautiful top.
Thank you very much.
Nice and cheery.
Absolutely. It's to bring a bit of summer. It's not very summery here, but it gives a burst, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's quite hot here. I'm sweating it out. So that's another story. Let's welcome the dapper Mr. Simon MacDonald. Hello.
Hello, everybody. It's so nice to be back again from this time. I'm afraid it's from a very damp and soggy West Highlands of Scotland. Today, the tide isn't coming in. It's coming down.
Oh. I love it when you say that.
We've had a lot of rain here also. I think even the iguanas decided to take a holiday from here. I don't know where they went, but
that's funny.
Some of them are 4 feet long. It's
okay.
I'm going to show you a picture of them during this. I have to find it, but yeah, so it's nice to be back together again. We got some really good feedback about last week, and I look forward to more updates. DIANN, what have you been up to in the writing world?
Well, what can I say? I finished a couple of short stories and sent them in, so that was always exciting to be able to hit the send button. But my excitement is I received a copy. Let's see if you can see it now. The green screen. There it is. Yeah, a little bit of my new book that'll be out in November. So it's pre-released. It's the continuation of Ruby and her journey into the workforce. You know, the women in the 1920s had a hard time entering the workforce. They were considered hookers. Did you know that?
Oh. Well, I love the cover, DIANN. I'm sure it's going to be just as good, if not better, than the first Ruby, which I have a copy of. So thanks for sharing that, and best wishes with your sales and reviews.
Thank you very much. I am excited. Again, that took about, I think, 2.5 years of studying and writing. Dedication.
Amazing.
Right?
Another bestseller in the making here, I think.
Absolutely.
I hope so. But I must say, historical fiction authors out there, I have so much respect for them. That's hard work to get that history right. So, but thank you for asking, Dr. JACALYN. But I'm super excited to hear what's going on over on the other side of the pond.
Yes,
Goodness.
absolutely. Before, I just want to show you, this is one of my neighbors. Can you see it?
Oh,
Huge.
Oh,
They're
wow.
huge. Yeah, they're taking over, and
Oh my
apparently
word.
there's not much we can do about it. And they're not native to Florida. The green ones are, but not those. So someone's brought them in. Thank you so much, whoever you are.
oh, you can't have that one for a pet. It's too big, right?
A pet, Diane?
Yeah, some people have pet iguanas, but
That's how they ended up here. I'm pretty sure that people had them when they were like this big, and they didn't expect them to get that big. So, but they're good runners.
What conditions do they live? I mean, they like the heat, obviously. But, I
They
mean,
like
how
the
do they
heat.
live?
They like
What
the
do they-
moisture. We have at any given time maybe 7 of them living on the roof. So I've been doing a lot of research about how to get rid of them because they destroy property, and the homeowner association doesn't take care of them. And so you have to call wildlife or pay for it yourself. And then, of course, you get rid of them in a humane way, whatever that is. And then there's others. So it's not like, it's not like you can.
I tell you, if it's not iguanas, it's the bats. And if it's not the bats, it's the squirrels.
Exactly.
Oh, I love squirrels, I have to say.
They're so cute.
It's interesting. We're going to go and get the news and culture, but I've noticed a lot since I'm here in Florida watching the various animals that they all move sort of in a very jerky like way. Did you ever notice that? Like with squirrels and birds and with the iguanas, they tilt their head, and then I don't know how to explain it. It's not like smooth. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Has anyone studied
I
that?
do.
Just
got
uneducated,
loads of
got no
squirrels.
style.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
that sounds like mindfulness, Dr. Jacqueline. There's a lot of mindfulness going on there, watching the animals.
Yes,
Oh.
definitely. So, Helena, you're going to start us off with news and culture in the United Kingdom. We also have some visuals for our audience as well.
Well, I'm just going to start just very briefly. I mean, at the moment, I'm going to do a little bit of a royal roundup, but at the moment, we've got a very political time going on because it's the Conservative Party conference that's been running, and which has been, oh gosh, it's absolute madness. So Rishi Sunak has given his speech. And various things are, they're so good at giving these speeches. It's so believable. But, there's so much going on blaming it on other things rather than what they have done. And they perfect it so well. And the biggest thing that's a bit of an upset is the cancellation of the HS2 Northern Link, the Birmingham to Manchester run. So we need some stability restored. That's what we need. So I'm not the biggest political person. Obviously, I enjoy the Royals. And so I shall give a little bit of a royal roundup as I see it. I think I'm going to speak quite a bit about the Princess of Wales today, who's, I think, sometimes has a little bit of a rough ride, Catherine. She, I know Fox News I've been speaking to, they've been doing a lot of work on how Catherine tried to repair relationships with her husband and Prince Harry. And she really believed it was going to work and threw herself into it because obviously she comes back from that kind of family that resolved things. And she's now been left completely hurt by Prince Harry, but has realised they've got to get on, and so has blocked everything out. They're moving forward. Everyone's moving forward. But what I would say is I do think the royal family are doing incredibly well. They are really full of vibrance, energy. They're doing separate jobs as well as coming together, and they're just front and center and strong. We have King Charles, who obviously is king and heading everything up, and is able to do these very long speeches and stand, and everyone's cheering. We've got Prince of Wales, who maybe isn't as he doesn't take command as much as his father, but obviously he's learning, which makes sense. But he's still likable and lovely. And now the Princess of Wales, who I think is amazing in that she's strong, she's full of energy. Everyone loves her. She's smiley, and she's completely given herself a Zupa, I think, in what she's wearing. She sort of means business, and she's got the trouser suits. She's fun. I think all the royals are far more accessible, so obviously approachable. And the new fringe and the hairstyle, which I actually think is a little bit like Dianne's, I have to say. There's a look there. There's a look. I think there's a strength there, and she definitely is well, I think she's been referred to as the children's princess. I think she's everyone's princess, but children absolutely love her. Obviously, she works very well in every single setting that she goes to. And the good thing is, obviously, children growing up will buy into the roles, which is a lovely thing. I think she's looking very Charlie's Angels at the moment. I don't know if anyone's seen her, but obviously when the late Queen Elizabeth was alive, she used to wear more dresses and skirts, because that's what the Queen used to like. But now she's got her sense of style and she's absolutely going for it. So I just applaud the royal family completely, and I hope they carry on. And obviously things will be incredibly successful. I also wanted to move on to something as well. We touched on, I think, the Huguenots last week, which the 50,000 French Protestants that came to the UK. They fled the Catholic Church in the 16th, 17th century, but they were amazing. They were very creative. So they were equipped with so many skills, and they were great wool and silk weavers. And obviously here in the UK, we had wonderful, the textile industry was super some time ago. Things changed, and I think cotton and various things we imported from China because it was easier and cheaper. But I think now the British textile industry is coming back, in that people want things to know how things are made. They want the story. They want to see things from beginning to end. People are valuing quality, which is so important. And the Princess of Wales recently visited A.W. Hainsworth, which is a British textile mill, and they produce lovely attire. I mean, she looked great. She was wearing her Burberry suit, a green Burberry suit. Actually, the green's very much like the front door. My front door is going to be shortly. But she, when she turned up, again, vibrant, full of energy, really interested in people, left everyone feeling like, wow, how everyone felt valued. And she was stating how she loves the feel and smell of freshly woven fabric. And she was given a tour of this Leeds mill. And I think the ironic thing, or the exciting thing, is that her family actually owned this mill. It obviously wasn't called A.W. Hainsworth at the time. It was William Lupton Limited, William Lupton and Co. And that was sold in 1958, and they were there for like 160 years. But it was lovely for her to go in, and she's very knowledgeable. The whole family is. It's something I didn't know. In fact, we do have one picture of her going in. Yes, that's a snapshot. There she is with a mannequin. Now, this mannequin is called Oliver, and the King's Guard military uniform is actually made by the mill. And it manufactures, obviously, the woolen cloth to such a high level. And this company, they own a royal warrant, and the warrant belongs to, well, it used to belong to Queen Elizabeth II. I mean, that's a new thing, actually. That's another story. So they supply so many customers: Chanel, Burberry, emergency services, all the soldiers outside Buckingham Palace, the guardsmen. And obviously this also it's a familiar look that we see when you see trooping the colour, etc. But also the Prince William, when they were married, that was April 2011, also wore the Irish Guards outfit, which is that outfit. And I think we've got another picture, which is one of my photographs, which was actually taken on the day. It's a little small, but you can see him in the suit. Now, that was an absolutely it was such a sunny, fun, happy day when they got married. I think one of the days in my life that I will always remember, photographing and just being with the people, and everyone was so happy. The late Queen Elizabeth II was really happy. Oh, William and Kate. Oh, it was just such an exciting day. But that's just to really show the outfits that he is wearing. And the other thing as well is that there's I think it's there's a collar. It's something that they produced. It's a mantle, and that's something that the mill produced years ago, and it comes in something like 130 colours. It's something you put under collars, and they still produce it. They're incredibly popular. And I think as well, I think the Princess of Wales, she stressed, you know, how lovely it was to see everything. She saw the wool being dyed, she saw them testing the wool, it's absolutely everything, and then saw the final package that gets sent out. So it's that whole story that brings us back. And I just cannot wait. And I really hope that it makes a big comeback, because it's something that I would save and buy into. Oh, it's collar Meltons. That's what I was trying to get. They're called Meltons. And that's, yeah, they still make the material that sits underneath the collar. So that's a real interest to me, as it's something that we need in the UK hugely, absolutely hugely. We've also seen the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. I'm giving them all different names today, although they're the same people. I'm delighted by Royals fans that came to see them. They were in Wales. They came to make a positive change, but to see people who have made a positive change. So it was a joint appearance. They've been doing singular engagements, so lovely to see them together. But they're in Cardiff to mark the start of Black History Month. So this is coincided with the anniversary of HMT Empire Windrush. So this is the Windrush generation. Years ago, 1948, the majority of people came from the Caribbean to undertake a variety of jobs with the purpose of rebuilding the nation, and have and still do the most amazing job, and did a wonderful service in the NHS and still do. And they were very happy to meet the Cymru elders, the Windrush Cymru elders, Black History Cymru 365. These are different groups that turned up, and also the Ethnic Minority Youth Forum. And it was just really lovely to hear all the stories and the good things that they've done in the Welsh community, helping make positive change. And everywhere they were so hands-on, the Duke and Duchess. And we've got some wonderful photographs, not that I've got them, of everyone hugging and being really, really happy. And it's really always so great to see. So I think people are just enjoying seeing them. And again, it's front and center stage. And the charm offensive they do is always so successful. The Windrush portraits as well. Now, I don't know if everyone's heard about them, but this says it's obviously exhibiting wonderful portraits of this accomplished generation. It's exhibited at our portrait gallery in London, the London Portrait Gallery, from the 9th of October. And the King, when he was the Prince of Wales, commissioned 10 artists, very well-known artists, to paint 10 of these pioneering members of the Windrush generations. And these pictures were loaned, and have been loaned, because obviously it starts on the 9th, from the Royal Collection. And we have one photograph here, one painting, just to give an idea. I have seen the others as well. They've all different styles. Now, this is an image of Edna Henry, and she has been painted by Amy Sherald. So that's one of the photographs, and obviously there's going to be lots more. Portrait Gallery is a free gallery to get into. So obviously, hopefully everyone's going to race off and go and see them. What does everyone think of that picture?
I love it. I love it. It looks like her outfits maybe from the early 1960s. It has a very Jackie-O look to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the
Really
detail
pretty.
work around the
The collar.
Collar, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really, it's the outfit. It's funny, isn't it? Because we were talking about fabrics, but I think it's the actual outfit that stands out almost more than she does.
Yep.
So it's a very different style of painting,
Yeah.
but great. And all of the pictures, all the paintings are full of character.
Yeah,
just,
and you can
this
tell
is
from
only
her
one picture.
eyes. Yeah, her eyes, she has a lot of love in her eyes. So.
Yeah, it's almost like two different styles of painting in one,
Yeah.
because the head doesn't quite match the body in artistic style. It's as if one's been superimposed on the other. But I suppose that's what makes the style individual and quite unique.
Yeah, her outfit, it looks so real. I mean, it looks like you can just reach and touch it. It's
touch it.
yeah, really well
There's
done.
a photographic approach, I think, on the style of painting altogether, both on the head, which is disjointed from the outfit, which again is almost photographic in its style. Yes.
I love it. Just love it. So, and also, again, speaking about the late Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles, in his extensive speeches, I don't know how he does them, he talked about the Queen being, his mother being the gold thread between us and different countries, and how we all shared marked history and values. And obviously she stood for continuity. Again, coming back to the whole royal situation with Prince Harry, I just so wish that people would resolve their differences, although, we know that things can't just change overnight, but there is a huge chasm, and it sort of has become the status quo now, I think. But Queen Elizabeth II, the late Queen Elizabeth II, was all about continuity. So that's changed. So I do hope things move on. And also, remembering the late Queen Elizabeth II, countries that you wouldn't imagine really would do certain things in memory. The Italian Postal Service has issued a stamp, and this is to commemorate late Queen Elizabeth II, and it's got different. We've got a picture, in fact, Dr. Jacqueline, if we show it. There we go. I mean, the interesting thing is, it's just, how lovely is it that, this is Italy. Now, they would normally maybe bring things out if it was to do with the Pope, but they thought so much of her and what she's done, and the bond, as we say, the gold, the fabric and everything. And I just think it just shows the love there, and I love it. And there's the royal seal there. That's obviously that's for her reign, Elizabeth R. But that's 5 years, so that's 5 different portraits over a 50-year period. I think it's quite pretty.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, so that's good. And there's so much going on. There's lots of things. I know King Charles we've seen him at the sawmill in Aberdeenshire, and that's dealing with timber from Balmoral. And apparently the company there, James Jones and Sons, they bought up over 34 years, something like 150,000 tons of wood from the Balmoral estate. And it's construction timber, and it's produced as renewable and recyclable building product, but it's mainly used for the Scottish market, but also it's exported to Australia and New Zealand. So obviously doing business there. And so it was good to see him going in and saying thank you. And I did actually see, not that we've got it, but King Charles, he was taught how to use a sawmill actually on the Balmoral estate when he was tiny, absolutely tiny. I think he was something like 8 or something, or 6 or 8 years old. So it was lovely to see. And it's the amount of time that he spent in Scotland. And in fact, there's a lovely book called The Old Man of Loch Nagar. And I've only just discovered, King Charles has written so many books, phenomenal, about everything. A bit like you guys, I have to say. I think I'm lagging behind. I will start. But he wrote this book it was a while back, I think it was something like 1980s, but it's something that made me laugh, is that he was walking in Balmoral along the Corrie Loch. Is it the Corrie Loch? Surrounding the Corrie Loch or the the cliffs there. I'm not sure, but he was on a long walk very recently, and there were some cyclists, and they were so excited because they could see that there were royals around, but they weren't too sure. And as they were riding along, they saw big Range Rovers going past, and all of a sudden there was this sort of looked like a little old man with a stick, and there was King Charles just walking through the grounds. And he stopped and he had a chat with them, and he was asking them how they were, and they took photographs, and he talked about, you know, what he was doing on the estate, and they were saying they were staying in one of the, I forget what it's called, is it a durry? I can't remember, but where people stay actually on the grounds. But it was just a lovely story, and it made me think about Queen Elizabeth II, because at least they recognised him, because a lot of the time, you know, people meet people and they're never too sure. I know Queen Elizabeth II, some people would say, you know, have you ever seen the Queen? And she'd actually be there, which is a funny thing. But he'd written, this is King Charles had written The Old Man of Lochnagar. I think we've actually got the book cover. It's very simple, but he wrote this in the 80s, and this is actually it's a story about an old man, and he lives in a cave, and he's surrounded by Corrie Loch and all the things, and it overlooks the royal estate in Balmoral. And it made me just think, because obviously they spend their summer holidays there, and you know, it's a really fun one. It's illustrated by Sir Hugh Casson, I believe. But that was just a little bit of fun. But it was lovely to see that they got photographs as well, and just chatted just like normal people. Why not? There's lots of other things, lots of fun things, but that's just my royal roundup for today.
Thank you, Helena. Very interesting.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I love it. I appreciate the images too. It enables us to really hone in on what you're saying. Nicely done.
Good.
Mr. MacDonald, we're over to you. What's the latest there?
Well, by popular demand, and I actually had so many emails last week after last week's show, when I did the piece on Scottish inventions and discoveries that changed the world, that we're just saying, are there more? Could you give us more? Let me know. So here we go. I've got part 2 of the Scottish inventions and discoveries that changed the world. The more I delve into it, the more I find, and there's some really quite fascinating ones, a lot of them which I've known about for a while. And the first one is no exception to that, which is, you know, when creating a list of some of Scotland's greatest inventions, a sheep may seem like a strange choice. However, few sheep that are quite as special as Dolly, and she was the first ever mammal to be cloned from an adult cell. So she's known as the world's most famous sheep. Dolly was born on the 5th of July in 1996 at the Rosslyn Institute in Edinburgh, and which is actually part of Edinburgh University. Dolly was named after the singer Dolly Parton, who of course was quite famous herself, and became famous around the world, as is Dolly Parton, and even featured in the prestigious Time magazine. This is the sheep I'm talking about, not the Parton. So Dolly, yeah, so just get the facts straight. You know, Dolly actually lived to the age of 7 and gave birth to 6 healthy lambs during her life. And the person who actually did the cloning was Professor Ian Wilmot, who sadly passed away just very recently. But I knew him quite well, and we used to sail and race against each other on the Forth quite regularly. A fascinating character and a very, very capable yachtsman. I did beat him quite a few times, though, I've got to say that. Anyway, going on, we have the Falkirk wheel, which has become really quite an iconic item, in particular in the world of canals. This was created in 2002. And it's the world's only rotational boat lift designed to connect 2 canals at different levels. The boat lift will raise or lower boats to the upper or lower sections of the Forth and Clyde Canal with the Union Canal. And the boat lift it's an engineering marvel and a real testament to Scottish design and engineering. And it sort of works in a counterbalance type of way. So you can have 3 or 4 boats go into this sort of trough in the bottom, and another 3 or 4 going into the trough at the top. So the top one going to the bottom canal, and vice versa. And to operate this enormous piece of engineering. The power that actually uses is on one full rotation, it would be the same as an electric kettle boiling 3 times. So it's actually quite eco-friendly and not expensive to run, but spectacular to see. Moving on, we have, it's maybe not strictly inventors who created life-changing inventions, but all the same, made one of the world's most popular gaming franchises. And this was David Jones and Mike Daly of Rockstar Games, who invented Grand Theft Auto in 1997. And while it was a popular target for the media to blame violence on video games, Grand Theft Auto is more than just wanton destruction. David Jones and Mike Daly of Rockstar Games were pioneers in the field of open world games, basically huge uninterrupted game worlds that the player could explore in their entirety. And pair that up with fantastic game engine, storytelling, characterization. It's easy to see why Grand Theft Auto series is so popular. And Grand Theft Auto 5, which was one of the latest games in the series since 2013, has generated more than $6 billion in revenue, which is a pretty amazing achievement from a small Scottish startup in the late 1990s. Now, we talked about power there with the Falkirk wheel, and tidal turbines comes to mind here as well, another Scottish invention. And with nearly 63% of the UK seas, it's of little surprise that Scotland is at the forefront of tidal energy developments. In fact, it's estimated that we have up to 25% of Europe's tidal resource and 10% of the wave resource. So today, revolutionary tidal turbine technology has been developed by Orbital Marine Power, sits off the coast of the Orkney Islands, way to the north of Scotland. And with its turbine blades suspended beneath a floating platform instead of being fitted to the seabed, has the potential to meet the electricity demands of around 2,000 UK homes. There are more and more of these machines being created now, and hopefully they will take over from wind power, because tidal power, well, the tide comes in now twice a day, regardless of the weather. The wind, for the wind power ones, it blows sometimes, it doesn't blow other times, so there we go. Anyway, moving on, we've got John Napier. And John Napier's claim to fame was inventing logarithms and decimal points, and that was in 1614. Now, the Scottish mathematician John Napier was a pioneer of logarithms, and he pushed for everyday use of decimal points within mathematics. And his work, which is Mirifici, a logarithm, well, next word please, canonis descripto, contained a significant work on natural logarithms of trigonometric functions. It's way beyond my comprehension, believe me, but John Napier was responsible for pushing the boundaries of mathematics in the 1600s. And the school I went to was Merchiston Castle in Edinburgh, incidentally, and that fell under Napier's estate. So, you know, there was a connection there. The next we move on as well, something that just about every kid must remember. It's been in every children's toy chest for more than 200 years, and that's the kaleidoscope. And it was invented by Sir David Brewster in 1816, who was born in the small Scottish country town of Jedburgh near the borders. And Brewster was uncannily intelligent, and building his own telescope from scratch at just the age of 10 years old. And this early interest in optics continued throughout his life. Incredibly, due to an error in the patent office, Brewster's invention was allowed to be quickly and crudely copied by opportunistic entrepreneurs, meaning he saw very little of his financial rewards. Such a shame. Then Robert Sterling Newell designed wire rope machine, which consisted of 4 strands of wires to 1 strand on the rope wire. And on the 17th of August, 1840, Newell took out a patent for wire rope and the machinery for making such a rope, because it's not something you can just sort of twist by hand. It's, you know, it hurts. So Robert Newell and company established a factory and commenced making wire ropes for mining, railway ships and rigging and all sorts of other purposes. Newell developed substantial improvements to the submarine telegraph cables as well, devising a method of involving the use of a special insulating coating surrounded by the strong wires. And the first successful cable laid between Dover and Calais on the 25th of September 1851 was turned out from his works, and he continued to manufacture on a large scale. In 1853, he invented the brake drum and cone for laying cables in deep sea, and that is still in use today. Then George Stephenson was a civil engineer and mechanical engineer during the Industrial Revolution, and known as the father of the railways. And Stephen's chosen rail gauge, sometimes called the Stephenson gauge, was the basis of the 4 foot 8.5 inches standard gauge used by most of the world's railways still today. Pioneered by Stephenson, rail transport was one of the most important technological inventions of the 19th century and a key component of the Industrial Revolution. But built by George and his sons Robert Stephenson and Company, the locomotion number 1 was the first steam locomotive to carry passengers on a public railway line. And look at the railway lines they've got today, and there we are. HS2, the railway line, has now sort of come off the rails, shall we say, in the announcement from our Prime Minister today. So there we go. But it's they've certainly improved in comfort since Stephenson's days. So Sir William Fairbairn, he was a creative inventor who was born in the Scottish Borders in 1789, and his claim to fame was inventing tubular steel, which was initially for building stronger bridges and the tubes inside high-pressure boilers for ships and locomotives. Now tubular steel is everywhere, scaffolding, all sorts, but there we are. It was Sir William Fairbairn who was the inventor of that. Another name that's extremely well known in Scottish circles and actually worldwide as well, any connection with canals, the name Thomas Telford is always to the fore. And he was a Scottish civil engineer, designed and built the canal system, which is still used today, using a series of locks to make it possible for ships and boats to deal with the rise and fall of the land when they're traversing. Now, after establishing himself as an engineer of road and canal projects in Shropshire in England, he designed numerous infrastructure projects in his native Scotland, as well as harbours and tunnels. And such was his reputation as a prolific designer of highways and related bridges. He was dubbed the Colossus of Rhodes, spelled R-O-A-D-S, which is a pun, obviously, on the Colossus of Rhodes, R-H-O-D-E-S. And the town of Telford in Shropshire was actually named after him. Then we have William Kennedy Dixon, who in 1883, he was hired to work at Edison's laboratory in Menlo Park, New Jersey. And in 1888, Edison conceived a device designed by Dixon that would do for the eye what the phonograph does for the ear. And this device was subsequently named the kinetoscope, which is the forerunner of the movie cameras which we have today. Now, William Dickinson and his team at the Edison lab simultaneously worked on the development of the kinetoscope viewing machine. And the first working prototype using 19mm film was unveiled in May 1891 to a meeting of the National Federation of Women's Clubs hosted by his wife. And then the 35mm camera was essentially finalized by the end of 1892. The completed version of 35mm kinetoscope was unveiled at the Brooklyn Institute of Arts and Sciences on the 9th of May, 1893. It was a peep show machine showing continuous loop of film lit by a small lamp and viewed individually through a window cabinet housing its components. So that's a nice Scottish-American connection there as well. Frederick G. Creed lived in Glasgow, where he began work in an old shed. Using an old typewriter bought at the local flea market, he created his first keyboard perforator, which used compressed air to punch holes. He also created a reperforator, or receiving perforator, and a printer. And the reperforator punched incoming Morse signals onto paper tape, and the printer decoded the tape to produce alphanumeric characters in plain paper. So this was the original of the Creed high-speed automatic printing system. And although told by Lord Kelvin that there's no future in that idea, Creed managed to secure an order for 12 machines from the General Post Office in 1902. So he opened a small factory in Glasgow in 1904, and 2 years later, the Glasgow Herald, which is one of our big newspapers, adopted the Creed system, claiming that it was 3 times faster than the rival Morse apparatus. So this was the original teleprinter which later became the fax machine. Another one, which is actually quite a well-known common name around the place, Charles Mackintosh. He was a Scottish chemist who was best known for his invention of the modern waterproof raincoat in 1824. He discovered that by cementing 2 thicknesses of cloth together with natural rubber, he could create waterproof fabric. And the essence of his patent was that the cementing of 2 thicknesses of cloth together with natural rubber, the Mackintosh raincoat, well, named after him, still popular today. James Chalmers submitted an essay for a proposal for an adhesive postage stamp and the cancelling device as well, or franking machine as we know it today, which was dated on the 8th of February 1838. This also contained illustrations of 1 penny and 2 pence value stamp designs. He didn't favour the use of an envelope for a letter, as each individual sheet at that time incurred an additional charge. So instead, he proposed that a slip or postage stamp could seal a letter, and so the postage stamp and the postmark that known today were invented. A name, well, very familiar in America, David Dunbar Buick was a Scottish-born American Detroit-based inventor, widely known for founding the Buick Motor Company. And he headed this company and its predecessor from 1899 to 1906, thereby helping to create one of the most successful nameplates in the United States motor vehicle history. Buick was born in Arbroath on the Scottish East Coast, and famous for Arbroath Smokies, which we'll talk about on another day. And he and his family moved to Detroit, Michigan, where when he was 2 years old. He also invented the overhead valve engine for cars, which is a design, again, still in use today. Patrick Bell, well, here's a clever man who invented the reaping machine while working on his father's farm. And his interest in mechanics led him to work on a horse-powered mechanical reaper for speeding up the harvest. And in 1828, his machine was used with success in his father's farm and in others in the district as well. Now, this reaping machine used a revolving 12-vane reel, this is for the technical people amongst us, to pull the crop over the cutting knife that was made from triangular reciprocating blades and overfixed triangular blades on top of that. A canvas conveyor moved the grain and the stalks to the side in a windrow, and this machine was pushed by livestock and ran on 2 wheels. Bell never sought a patent for the reaping machine. Being a man of God, he believed his invention should benefit all mankind. Therefore, he never made any financial gain whatsoever from its success throughout the world. That is the combine harvester that harvests all our crops today. So, I mean, a colossal difference in the agricultural world. Henry Bell was a Scottish engineer who helped to pioneer the development of the steamship, most widely known for the introduction of the first successful passenger steamboat service on Earth in 1812. Not the 1812 overture, but the 1812 date. Then Vice Admiral Philip Howard Colum, RN, was born in Knockbrex near Gatehouse of Fleet, another man from near the borders of Scotland. And he was a Royal Navy officer, historian, critic, and inventor. And Colum saw that the introduction of steam into the Navy would necessitate a new system of signals and new tactics. So he set himself to devise the former as far back as 1858, working with Francis John Bolton, and he worked out a Morse code system with signal lamps in 1862. And this system of signals was adopted by the Navy in 1867. And the signal lamps are still in use again today as well. Changed the world, even actually made a serious contribution to naval warfare. William Patterson, he decided there was the need for a central bank in England and was seen by a Scotsman, William Patterson, who noticed that the nation's finances had been in disarray, had no real system of money or credit. Things don't change that much when you come to think of it, do they? Anyway, founded in 1694, the Bank of England, known as the Old Lady of Threadneedle Street, is the government's bank and the UK's central bank. It issues the banknotes, controls the UK gold reserves, and since 1997 has set the official interest rates as well. The bank is the second oldest central bank in the world after the Swedish Riksbank, which was founded in 1668. So very similar time span I suppose, only 300 years apart, but no, 1694 and 1668 are actually pretty close. So we did the Bank of England. The Bank of England won't loan us much money in Scotland, unfortunately. We keep asking, but if you don't ask, you don't get. And then finally, we've got John Law of Lauriston, and he was an economist, banker, and merchant, and a statesman. And he founded the first Bank of France and is generally held responsible for the Mississippi bubble. He was born in Edinburgh, son of a prosperous goldsmith banker who died when Law was only 13. However, his mother was distantly related to the Duke of Argyll, who lives actually not that far away from where I am, and saw to it that Law studied both theoretical and applied economics. So Law's early interest in money with banking may well have been intensified by the adoption of William Paterson's plan for the Bank of England in 1694. And since Paterson was a fellow Scot, over the next 20 years, Law was to spend much time and energy making proposals for the establishment of banks, both in Scotland and on the continent. These efforts eventually culminating in the founding of the first Bank of France. So there we have the joys for this week. And I think we're maybe just going to have to sort of consider as well as there's next week. Can I find any more? I don't know. If you know any more, let me know. Answers on a postcard with a Scottish invented stamp. It'd be lovely.
Thank you, Simon. Thanks for putting so much work into that. That was really fascinating. We do have a comment from David M. Love, greeting from Kippel in the Swiss Alps.
You're round next, David.
Thanks for watching on Simon's LinkedIn. We appreciate that. Well, that was a great show, really fascinating. Thank you again to our expert correspondents for putting all of your time and effort to bring us the latest and greatest. What do you think, Diane?
It was both of y'all so fascinating and just so interesting. And I really appreciate everything y'all do, and to learn so much about what Catherine's doing is incredible, and it is really fun to watch people. I mean, I feel like we've kind of watched her grow up. We watched her dating and then getting married, and how she's growing into her role as this queen to be. It's phenomenal, and then to discover things that we use every day or we see every day is all came from the other side of the pond.
Especially Buick. That was really fascinating.
Yeah, I know it was, right? Buick's a great car.
Helena, you're on mute. You are on mute, you're on mute, you're still on mute.
Here she goes.
Hey, here I am.
Hey.
Forgotten what she was going to say now.
Do you remember the story about Tony Hudgell? Simon, you introduced Tony Hudgell on one of the shows. He's 8 years old, inspirational young man. Well, I suppose in a way, unfortunately known for being abused by his parents, which is very sad, and he had his limbs amputated. But in COVID, during lockdown, he did lots of, well, basically charity work, raising money, and he has raised £59,000. I mean, he's 8 years old. Can you imagine? And he was so excited the other day to actually open a letter from His Royal Highness Prince William. He was so excited. He's got it in a frame and it's on his wall next to one that he received from Catherine, I think in 2020. But, you know, congratulations to him. And how fantastic is that? 59,000 and you're 8 years old. I think he scaled, is it Orest Head? I'm not sure. It overlooks Lake Windermere, which is the most beautiful part of the UK. But yeah, so proud. Isn't it great when you hear stories like that? Look what we can all achieve.
Absolutely. He was actually, when somebody pointed out to him that Scafell Pike was higher, he said, I want to do that one next. So I think watch this space.
Amazing. Totally
Absolutely.
amazing.
Fabulous stories. Thank you so much for being here. We have to sign off as our next show is coming up. So let's just do our UK show roundup. Diane, what would you like to leave our audience with today?
Well, in England, there was a tree that was cut down, and I was extremely sad about it. I believe y'all tell me if I'm incorrect. It's one of the oldest trees in the UK. And I just want people, when you walk by a tree, you're out walking, to really stop and notice. Trees are beautiful. They provide shade. They give comfort when we sit underneath it. They inspire you to write poems. So remember, when you see a tree, it's a blessing.
And remember to look up, because iguanas could be living there. That's where. Hello.
Well,
Okay, thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
Simon, what about you?
Well, I'm sort of already geared up and looking forward to next week as well, because I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that's the Scotch whisky industry. And that sort of falls on the recent discovery of the world's oldest whisky. So watch this space next week, and I will have a wee dram with you as well. So, but this week, well, my saying for this week is to stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution.
That's true.
Thanks, Simon. Helena?
Firstly, thank you, Diane, for highlighting about the sycamore tree. It's really quite sad. I did want to sort of write to our King Charles, and I wanted him to maybe plant a tree or a few trees, but I think a sapling has been planted in its place, but obviously it needs years and years to grow. But yeah, it's one of those things that happens. I just wanted to say, I'm looking forward to next week, obviously, but also it's World Smile Day on Friday. And the reason why I bring it up is I don't think enough people are smiling. There's lots of things going on in the world, so quite understandable. So this is a time to really think about kindness and doing kindness, little small acts to make people smile. I thought I'd bring that up. It's the first Friday in October each year. So I do believe it's the 6th of October. Yes, it's Friday. So yeah, happy World Smile Day in a couple of days.
All right, you got me smiling. Thank you.
Here we all are.
We're a happy bunch.
A couple of quick updates that I have. One of our team members here and a friend of Diane and myself, Zane Carruth, is going to be in person at Neiman Marcus in Houston, and she is celebrating her book as well as Books to Bed and World's First Tooth Fairy Ever, pajamas and book set. So even if you are not able to go to Houston, which I'm not, I already went ahead and reserved my set. What you can do is go to email RSVP Houston, all one word, RSVP Houston at NeimanMarcus.com, and just let them know you want to request your set of pajamas and books. So I'm really proud of Zane. She actually got that engagement all by herself without a publicist. She was at the right place at the right time. So all right. The other thing is we have a special event coming up today, Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire. This is a monthly opportunity presented by the British School of Excellence. And their guest today is Anthony Willoughby. And he's also a friend of our platform. So we're excited to have him here. So join us today at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. British Summer Time. And then finally, we have our reunion show, which is coming up. I finally got the graphic right. I had the wrong year, the wrong date. It is January 14th, 2024. This is your opportunity, if you've been on our platform before, to promote your work, to meet new people. We just signed up 3 new people who are joining our platform with new shows, so we continue to grow. So do go over to our website and book in for that, usaglobaltv.com, your 15 minutes of fame. All right. Thank you very much. We're going to close out with our sponsorship from the beautiful Diann Floyd BOEHM, and then we'll be back with our next show, which is Global Socialpreneurs. So join us for that. All right. Here we go. Thank you, Diann. Thank you, Simon. And thank you,
Bye, everybody.
Bye for now.
Bye, Bye everyone.
Bye.
Hello, I'm children's author Diann Floyd BOEHM,
and I am co-host for several of the USA Global TV and radio shows. I joined because of the purpose of the USA Global TV and radio. They provide content for the viewers and listeners, an opportunity for people around the world to have their own show or even be a guest on an existing show. We truly believe in helping others get their positive message out to the world. We also have the opportunity for the listeners. You can watch on several platforms, and on YouTube, you can ask questions and even give a comment. We absolutely love it. I love being part of the USA Global TV and radio because I love positive messages, and who doesn't? And we need more of that in the world. We are a family, and we hope you will join us and become part of the family too.